One, two, three.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Beards and Wrestling. So today's video is actually going to be the first video where I actually talk about wrestling. And I think what a better way to start than to talk about the promotions in wrestling. Now, they are divided into different categories. We have what I like to call the big leagues. You got the indies, which are basically the redheaded stepchild to all the big companies, not taking away from anything that they're doing. But the bigger companies are more like on television, pay-per-views are on Peacock for the WWE. And other ones have like a specific app on the Google Play Store, Apple Store, whatever platform you use. And then the other ones are a little hard to find anything televised unless you actually go to those events. So I'm going to work backwards on this one and talk about the big companies first, all the way down to the startup companies. And what I mean by like startup companies is the ones that you have to actually pay for, and then you get trained and you develop a persona for yourself, or a character. You got to decide whether you're a face or a heel. We'll get into faces and heels and what those mean in a later video. I'm going to be talking about just wrestling promotions. So in my mind, in my opinion, and I would love to hear your comments down below in the comment section. If you disagree, you agree, if I left anything out, and I know, granted, there is a ton of companies out there. I picked out the, in my eyes, the most popular ones that have either been around and been discontinued, or just the ones that most people follow. So big companies, obviously, first one, I already said it, WWE. Now granted, they weren't always called the WWE. They were actually called originally the WWWF. Yes, 3 W's F. And it was called the Worldwide Wrestling Federation. Then they obviously shortened it after time, calling it the WWF. Now, for those wrestling fans out there that followed, the WWE since birth or however long you've been following them, most people know that they changed from WWF to WWE because the World Wildlife Foundation basically filed a lawsuit and didn't like that they were using those letters for abbreviation for their company. Now, I will probably hit that in another video on that whole situation, but that's basically how, the WWE has transformed into today. So another big promotion is TNA, who's now called Impact Wrestling. Yes, another company who had changed their name, changed ownership, changed, everything as far as like who runs the company and whatnot. TNA standing for Total Nonstop Action to now Impact Wrestling. I've watched more on the side when they were TNA. I kind of don't like where things kind of moved over and Dixie Carter took over. I don't even know if she's still owns a stake in the company. I think she still owns a stake, but she's not like running it. I don't know who's running it anymore. So if you know, comment down below. I don't really follow Impact. I follow certain guys. Like I have guys I follow on Instagram, or I always look at wrestling news on Google. But I followed it back when they had the Ace of Spades group. AJ Styles was still there. I don't even know who's there anymore. So I guess it doesn't really matter, but I still, follow certain superstars that are in those promotions, that promotion specifically. And the only other big league that is still around is AEW. Now, they are a newer company and kind of more fresh to old school wrestling of what people loved when WWE was the WWF, you know, the Attitude Era, the Ruthless Aggression Era. We'll hit on all those in future videos as well. But AEW is kind of like a breath of fresh air for old school wrestling fans to kind of get back into it. And honestly, they are killing it right now. It's kind of like, you know, all us old school guys that were kind of drifting away, AEW has brought us back and gave us something else to watch and be entertained by. So those are the big three for me. Granted, if two other companies that were still around, which are WCW and ECW, those were two other big companies I would consider that were, you know, huge wrestling promotions. WCW got bought out, you know, went out of business. Eric Bischoff just was a bad businessman. And Paul Heyman kind of was the same way. Now, it's not taking away for what they brought to the table for WCW and ECW. Great promotions, great star talent, and just entertaining-wise, it was awesome. It's just from a business standpoint, it just wasn't able to keep up with, you know, the reigning supreme WWE. So, next I'm going to be talking about developmental promotions. And the biggest one now is NXT. But before NXT even existed and was even around, we had other companies like OVW, FCW, and those companies, you know, were basically the developmentals for guys like John Cena, Sheamus, Randy Orton, Brock Lesnar, Batista, and so many others that came from OVW or FCW. And, you know, now it's NXT. So basically, you know, depending on if, you know, you're family oriented in wrestling, you have like more of an opportunity to kind of like get a quick call up from NXT, because basically NXT, you're developing your character, sharpening your in-ring skills, and just, you know, and then you get your main call up to whether it's Raw, SmackDown, or you know, you get a call up and then you're just waiting, because usually returns and what's the word I'm looking for? Call-ups happen after pay-per-views, or more likely after WrestleMania, because, you know, WWE and their booking isn't always the greatest, and it's like, oh, well, where's this guy in NXT? And it's like, you know, anyways, that's all for future videos. Like I said, the content for, you know, wrestling is going to be endless. Next, we have the indie scene. And I know I'm probably missing quite a few, but the ones that I have listed are AWA, NWA, Ring of Honor, Lucha Underground, which is one of the craziest promotions. I haven't literally watched it on TV, but I watch like highlights, and it's absolutely nuts. And so NWA, I believe, is the National Wrestling Alliance. I believe that's what it's called. And what was the other one? AWA. I think I'm not gonna even bother with that one, because I don't really know the abbreviation for that. I know I'm missing one. So if anyone, you know, watching this video could put down in the comments section to possibly what I'm missing. I just kind of listed the ones that came off the top of my head. And I think there's Lucha Libre too, but I don't know. So you got those for the indie scene, which is a lot of people follow. And some people follow the indie scene more than they follow the bigger promotions, just because of, you know, that type of talent is like once in a lifetime. I think I missed New Japan Pro Wrestling. That's another one. Though guys like, I think AJ Styles was in New Japan for a little bit. Daniel Bryan. Could be wrong. And then last but not least, we have the startup companies, which is like where local talent goes to, you know, develop, you know, to becoming a wrestler. And I only put the 2 down that are close to me. So if you like look up wrestling in your city, you might find like startup companies as well. But for where I am, I have ECPW, which actually my English teacher in high school was a wrestler. His ring name was Brutus McNasty. So that stands for East Coast Professional Wrestling. And then the other one that is a little bigger, and they were actually in my local mall, but now they're trying to find a new venue, and that's called Excite Wrestling. And they'll get like legends from WWE, and I believe the most recent one that was wrestling for them and kind of like made an appearance was Cody Rhodes. So those are the wrestling promotions that I had listed. If I missed any, like I said, comment down below. If you enjoyed this video, hit a thumbs up. Thinking about subscribing, as we are going to cover everything and anything wrestling related. Have a good one, everyone.